Hello my dear students. So today's topic we are going to discuss the most important and most common pathology which we are going to see in a newborn can be physiological also, that is hyperbilirubinemia. So before understanding what is NNHB, we need to know bilirubin metabolism. Today we are going to discuss about bilirubin metabolism in the most simplest way so that it won't be difficult for you people to diagnose what is the main cause for the NNHB in the child you are dealing with. The important thing you should know is in a newborn, normal bilirubin value whenever you check it will be more than 1 mg per dl. But whereas in the adults when you will check it will be always less than 1 mg per dl. This is the physiological normal finding you are going to find whenever you will draw blood from a baby and you will measure the plasma bilirubin levels. Out of the babies who are having more than 1 mg per dl bilirubin, among them only 6% babies will be reaching more than 12 mg per dl. In that also only 3% baby will be reaching above 15 mg per deciliter of bilirubin. So why is that? Some of these babies will have higher levels of bilirubin as compared to other babies. So let us dig deeper into the bilirubin metabolism and understand the basic pathophysiology. Bilirubin metabolism. Under which heading are we discussing this? Under neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, we are going to discuss the bilirubin metabolism. Okay, so first of all you need to understand the basic things which are different in a fetus and in an adult. RBC turnover rate, isn't it? So what is it? The normal turnover rate in an adult, it is around 120 days, isn't it? Whereas in the fetus or in a newborn it is hardly 90 days. So the lesser the days, the more is the turnover of the RBCs, so the hemolysis rate will be higher in compared to the adults. Second point is, in the fetus, the hemoglobin form which predominantly you will see is HbF, isn't it? So now it has to get converted to HbA. For this also there will be hemolysis. So these two things will be invariably happening in all the newborns. That is the reason in most of the newborns, when you check the bilirubin levels, you will get the higher values. After seeing these two parameters, now there will be hemolysis happening. But where will the hemolysis take place? So hemolysis will take place in the reticuloendothelial system. So in this system, what all organs you will include? One is liver, isn't it? Second is spleen, and third is your any nucleated cells. So these three regions there will be hemolysis. One is your liver, one is your spleen, and other is your nucleated cells. So coming to this reticuloendothelial system, here what and all parameters if gets affected, the child might have hyperbilirubinemia. So we are going to divide the causes. So first thing, at the level of reticuloendothelial system, what are the causes which are leading to hyperbilirubinemia? Okay, so coming to the first cause here, so I have divided it into 4 causes. First is your isoimmune hemolysis. Okay, so isoimmune means your DCT will be positive here, okay, and your peripheral smear will show hemolysis as well as your retic count will be high. Okay, so this isoimmune hemolytic anemia is the most common thing you will be also dealing with in your postnatal wards, that mother's blood group is O negative or any negative blood group of the mother, O positive blood group of the mother, and other thing is minor blood group incompatibilities. So what are all the causes you will include in isoimmune hemolytic anemia? It is, one is Rh negative incompatibility, then ABO incompatibility, third is your minor blood group incompatibilities. Okay, so these three come in the reticuloendothelial system, in which first cause is being your isoimmune hemolytic anemia. So here DCT will be positive. So what if DCT is negative but still peripheral smear is showing some hemolysis and retic count is high? There comes your second thing, that is non-isoimmune. Non-isoimmune. Here what will happen? DCT is negative, whereas your peripheral smear will show hemolysis, your retic count will be high. So here what are the two things which you should keep in your mind? Two things here is enzyme defect or membrane defect. So in membranes means what? RBC membrane defect. Okay, so what are the RBC membrane defect? You know, hereditary spherocytosis, hereditary elliptocytosis, isn't it? So those are the examples for your membrane defect. For your enzyme defect, can you tell me a few things? One is your J6PD deficiency, right students? Second is pyruvate kinase deficiency. Okay, so in isoimmune, it is mainly related to the blood group, and non-isoimmune is enzyme and membrane related. Third is your what? Most cause, important cause. All the postgraduates will tell, right? They will tell sepsis. How sepsis will cause hemolysis? Sepsis will cause hemolysis via bacteria, protozoa, or some of the fungi, which will be leading to the hemolysis component, and that is the reason why you will see hyperbilirubinemia in sepsis also. Fourth thing, I told no, we had divided this into 4. The last one is sequestration of the blood. What is it? Sequestration of the blood. So here what and all you will include while delivering? Due to difficult delivery, there is a bruise in the baby. So there is a deposition of the blood underneath the skin, or cephalhematoma. Or third thing, it can be secondary to the polycythemia. That means RBC count of the newborn is higher than required. So all these parameters will lead to hyperbilirubinemia. So this is just the reticuloendothelial system component where you can divide the baby's causes for NNHB. Okay, so first thing what we have discussed, RBCs will get hemolyzed because the RBC span is lesser, that is 90 days. Second thing is HbF has to get converted to HbA. That is the reason there will be more hemolysis in the reticuloendothelial system. So in which you are going to divide the 4 causes. So now after all this, in the reticuloendothelial system, what will happen actually to the hemolyzed RBCs? Let us just continue the metabolism. By the end, you will be astonished to see how beautifully the body has shaped itself. Okay, so now next is, first step is done. We are done with reticuloendothelial system. So here what will happen? HB is getting lysed, isn't it? HB is getting lysed. Heme oxygenase. This enzyme will oxidize the heme ring. So now what are the components you will get after this path? You will get 3 things. One is biliverdin, which almost everyone talk about, but the other 2 things will be mixed. That is your carbon monoxide, and third is your iron. Okay, that is also released. So students, just tell me, if I am unable to quantify biliverdin and I want to know that there is more hemolysis happening in a baby, so what else can I quantify with? So I can quantify carbon monoxide. Also, if excessive iron is there in the body, that also tells indirectly that there is excessive hemolysis going on. But the problem with the carbon monoxide is it is easily exhaled by the newborn. And this iron gets reutilized. So due to these drawbacks, we come back again to the biliverdin. So biliverdin, it is very unstable compound, fastly get reduced via biliverdin reductase to our key compound, that is bilirubin. One thing I want you people to remember is bilirubin. One thing I want you people to remember is bilirubin can never stay alone. It always needs a company to move around, to enter into some place. That can be your liver. It always needs a friend. So now this bilirubin is left free. It is searching for its friend in the blood vessels. Never forget, bilirubin is fat soluble. It will not dissolve with water. Okay, and since it is fat soluble, it will easily enter the blood vessel. So once it has entered the blood vessel, see here, bilirubin is inside the blood vessel, but it is still searching the friend whom I should be with so that I can move forward. That is the albumin. Albumin will come in role. So albumin is the first best friend of the bilirubin to accompany bilirubin to its next place, that is the liver. Okay, so now important point is, once bilirubin is attached to albumin, it becomes non-toxic. Suppose the baby I am dealing with has ABO incompatibility, as we discussed under reticuloendothelial system, isn't it? So that baby has ABO incompatibility and there is lots of hemolysis happening. So here what will happen? Loads of bilirubin is released in the baby. Simultaneously, all the albumin which is there in the body gets utilized. So once all the albumin in the body gets utilized, what will happen? Now bilirubin will not have any friend to attach with, so it will be left alone. It will be left alone when the albumin is saturated in the body. So bilirubin alone is toxic. It will start to wander different places. What are the different places? Where and all you will check icterus, students? You will check in sclera, you will check in palate, you will check in brain, that is kernicterus, isn't it? Finally, where you will see icterital legs, icterital abdomen, that is skin. So now what has happened? All this free bilirubin has gone and attacked these places. There, that is where clinically we are going to judge that the baby is having icterus or not. So in all this parameter, the question here arises is there is no conjugation yet, isn't it? So most commonly it is unconjugated bilirubin which will be going and depositing in this particular areas. Okay, so now the bilirubin has been bounded with the albumin. It is in the non-toxic form. Albumin, as its first obedient friend, takes the bilirubin till the liver, and then before entering the liver it leaves the bilirubin. Now bilirubin has again entered alone. Big problem for the bilirubin. The bilirubin has entered in the liver away from this first best friend. So it is searching for the second best friend, that is your cytoplasm ligandin Y protein. What is it? Cytoplasm ligandin Y protein. Today's question for all of you is, how is ligandin Y protein related to hypothyroidism? Okay, so you're going to tell me in the comment section how is ligandin Y related to hypothyroidism and why hypothyroidism is also one of the risk factor for your NNHB. Okay, fine. So don't worry, if you don't know, I'll be answering it in the comment section. Coming to the next point, now bilirubin has again found its friend. What is it called as? Cytoplasm ligandin Y protein, and they enter smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Again, his second friend will leave him halfway and make him enter alone in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So being detached by the two friends, bilirubin now doesn't want to take a chance with the third friend, so it decides to get conjugated. It decides to get married. Where? In the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It gets conjugated. It gets married with the help of UGT enzyme. With the help of UGT enzyme. How is this enzyme important for us here? The enzyme is important for us here because many of the inherited deficiencies of this enzyme, like your Gilbert's. Have you heard of Gilbert's? Very important question for all of you. Gilbert's syndrome will be having inherited deficiency of UGT enzyme. So this UGT enzyme, once it is less, the unconjugated bilirubin will not become conjugated. More is the unconjugated bilirubin, more it goes to your skin, sclera, palate, etc. Okay, so one is this, and second thing is your phenobarbital. Your phenobarbital will enhance the activity of your UGT enzyme. So suppose phenobarbital has enhanced to UGT enzyme. So now what will happen? Bilirubin gets converted more into conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. So you will see more conjugated hyperbilirubinemia here, whereas you will see unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia in your Gilbert syndrome. Okay, so two more causes we have covered here. Once it has conjugated in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, next is what? Next is to deliver two babies. What are the two babies? Bilirubin diglucuronidase, bilirubin monoglucuronidase, both are non-toxic forms. Non-toxic forms, that means they cannot be absorbed in the CNS. Via the bile duct, it will enter the intestine. So we are in the fourth part, that is near the excretion now. Okay, so now these two things will enter the intestine, bilirubin diglucuronidase and bilirubin monoglucuronidase. You people have heard of enterohepatic circulation, isn't it? Entero means intestine, going back to the liver. So to go back to the liver, these are all conjugated form, isn't it? So unconjugated, as I said, it is what? Fat soluble or water soluble? It was fat soluble. Conjugated is water soluble. So once it is water soluble, it cannot be easily absorbed via the intestinal epithelium. So it has to again become deconjugation. So conjugation should become unconjugated via what? Your intestinal enzyme beta glucuronidase. Very important enzyme, most commonly seen in your newborn intestinal epithelium. So this will cause conjugated bilirubin to unconjugated bilirubin. Since this is fat soluble, it gets absorbed from the intestine back to the liver for enterohepatic circulation. This is the one thing which has happened now. Second, what will happen? This conjugated bilirubin via intestinal bacteria gets converted to urobilin, then gets excreted in urine, converted to stercobilin, and get excreted in stools. So now you would ask, ma'am, the most common cause of NNHB is decreased breastfeeding, dehydration. So till now, nowhere we have depicted the cause of that. So it comes at the end. The baby is not taking feeds well, water quantity is less, so the stools will not pass. There will be more what type of bilirubin inside the intestine? More conjugated type of bilirubin inside the intestine. More conjugation in the intestine, beta glucuronidase, it will convert it into unconjugated type and then takes it back. That is why you will be seeing higher rates of unconjugated bilirubin when there will be dehydration. Hirschsprung disease, where the stools is not passed, again the transit time is high. That is the reason more contact with unconjugated, it will go into enterohepatic circulation. Okay, so any anorectal malformations or any problem with the intake of food, that is breast milk in the babies, can also lead to your unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. So this is the important bilirubin metabolism which should be there in your mind before you are dealing with any babies with NNHB. One last thing which I forgot to cover. So bilirubin will be with albumin, isn't it, here in the transport phase? So any parameters which will help displace albumin from the bilirubin will also lead to NNHB. What is this? Most important, abuse of your ceftriaxone. Ceftriaxone will displace bilirubin and albumin. Okay. Second is your free fatty acids. Acidosis. In birth asphyxia and all, you will be seeing acidosis, right? So all this parameter will displace albumin from bilirubin. So once it becomes bilirubin, it is very unstable and it will be toxic to the CNS and gets spreaded to the different parts of the body. Hope this is helpful. Don't forget to answer why cytoplasm, why ligandin protein is related to hypothyroidism and how hypothyroidism is a risk factor for NNHB. Thank you, students. We'll be meeting you in the next video.